everyone, welcome back. This is Anam and you're watching Biology Nexus and I'm here with a new topic today. Okay, let's start. Today we are going to discuss about how the epidemiologists classify the spread or prevalence of the health issue like diseases or viruses, and specifically we'll discuss about the endemic, epidemic and pandemic. What is the difference among all of them? So let's start. The first one we have endemic. Endemic is actually the disease or a virus constantly present in given location, in given population or a geography, and number of affected individual or people is actually the low. It's very low and does not significantly decrease or decrease. It's always constant, and we can say it's always over the time here, but no decrease or increase with the passage of time. And if we talk about the example of endemic, we have chickenpox that mostly affected the children. Example, chickenpox, and that mostly affect the children at a regular, particular, and predictable rate. And the second one we have the malaria, which actually constantly present in many part of the Africa. So this is actually the endemic. The number of individual doesn't increase or decrease with the passage of time. It always there constantly and present in given location or geography or population constantly. So it's endemic. When we talk about the epidemic, it's actually has a sudden and rapid rise in a particular region, in a particular population or location. We say always get high and high, like the graph always will be higher. So if we talk about the example of epidemic, we have yellow fever. It's actually killed 5,000 people in Philadelphia in 1973. 5,000 people killed by this epidemic, this disease, this virus in Philadelphia in 1973, while in case of yellow fever. Other one, we also have cholera. The second example of epidemic, and it killed actually 150,000 American in Europe, and still it actually present and fatal most part of the world. Cholera and yellow fever is kind of a epidemic. And what is epidemic? It's actually the disease or viruses has sudden and rapid rise in a population, in a given region, or in a given geography, or we say in a given location. So this one the example of epidemic. And the third one we have pandemic. Pandemic is actually essentially we say not limited to a specific geography, not limited to a specific location, specific population, and affected individual, affected people, a significant number of people that affect by pandemic. For example, if we talk about the history of pandemic, we have HIV virus and AIDS, we say acquired immune deficiency syndrome and HIV virus. This is one of the most the virus or a disease that spread, and over like claimed life about more than 36 million people in Europe, in America, and other part of the world, and still over 30 million people are still prevalent of this disease. So this is one kind of the very serious virus, very serious pandemic that spread at that time. And the next one we have Spanish flu actually. And due to Spanish flu, approximately 500 million people affected. And if we talk about the mortality rate, it's actually 10 to 20%. So a very serious kind of a virus and very serious kind of a disease that spread over that time. And the third one we have bubonic plague. And it's still spread across the Europe, across the Asia and Africa, and approximates estimated 75 to 200 million people are killed by this virus. So these are some kind of a severe viruses, severe diseases, and it's included in pandemic. So today we actually discuss about the three terms that how epidemiologists classify the spread and prevalence of the health issue, and these health issue in case of endemic, in case of epidemic, in case of pandemic. Like we discussed, endemic constantly present in the region over the population or given geography, and the number of individual and number of the people constantly actually there doesn't increase or decrease. Well, it's just there over the time. And we have example chickenpox that mostly affected the children, and the malaria in most part of the Africa still present malaria cases. And then we discuss about the epidemic has sudden and rapid rise in a particular region. So this is the difference between both of them, endemic and epidemic. And when we talk about the pandemic, it actually not limited to a specific region, specific location or specific geography, and the number of individuals are actually affected very high rate. Example, HIV virus, Spanish flu and bubonic plague. And the most common virus, if we talk about, we are all actually suffering, if we talk about the COVID-19, and I'll definitely make a special video with the COVID-19 content and how this virus spread, what is the cause, and how we can save from this virus, with what kind of techniques we have to use. So another video will discuss about all of this. It's all about it today lecture. Thank you so much for watching.